All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Counseling Diverse Populations, our class. Together we are going to learn. My name is Brad Fairchild. You can call me Professor Fairchild. I am going to do a little bit of introduction. I'm going to introduce myself first, and we're going to go through the syllabus. I'm also going to take you to um, the Blackboard class itself and walk through some of that with you. Some of you may be extremely familiar with Blackboard, others of you may not. Also, each professor kind of has their areas that they work out of, the things that they look at the most. Um, so I want to show you what's important to me and what I use. Okay, so a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Dallas. I married my high school sweetheart. I've been married for 30 years. Pause. Oh, wow. Yeah, I know. Um, and we still love each other very much. My wife is an amazing woman. I have four girls. My oldest is 24. Next one is 22. Next one is 19. And the next one is 16. I'm thinking, is she 19 or 18? Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking, man, I'm doing so good. And then, we live in Flower Mound, and I teach as an adjunct at the King's University, and I am a student at Regent University, currently working on my PhD in counselor education and supervision. I am probably a little beyond, well, I'm probably about 3/4 of the way through that program right now. My expected graduation date is May of 2019. So I too am a student alongside of you. Some students have asked me before, oh, wow, you've got homework too. So does that make you compassionate on us? And I'm like, no, it doesn't. I'm like, hey, I put in an all-nighter or two during my PhD process. So do what you got to do. And I'm an old guy. All right. I have a sense of humor. It's kind of funny when you're on the camera. I can't see you. I don't know if you're rolling your eyes at me or if you're laughing with me. Whatever. I hope you can be able to join in and enjoy this class and enjoy our time together. We will have a couple of collaborate, I think three collaborate classes. All right, so let me start by going into the syllabus itself. These are your student learning outcomes. Here is your required textbook. I was writing Sue and Sue the other day down in regards to this class, and I thought to myself, no, guys, that is not a typo. I didn't accidentally write Sue again. It's Daryl and David, I think. Yes, it is Sue and Sue, and they are big. They're Asian and they're big time in in terms of literature and textbooks and professional journal articles. Uh, I, I didn't say I like them or agree with them always. I said they're big time. There's two different. That's a different. Those are different, right? And I'm not saying I dislike them either. There are some things that I feel like they've gotten a little. I don't know. I'm feeling bad. I'm going to stop there. Uh, you may read some things that you're like, I don't know about that. Well, that's okay. The APA manual, publication manual is important. All of your writing is going to be in APA. Most of you are probably familiar with that by now. I hope you already have one of those. If not, you need to get one. For all of your classes, counseling classes, we require your papers to be in APA format. And if you are saying, what's APA format? You got some work to do, and that's okay, but you need to do some work on that. Please utilize tutors if at all possible. I know sometimes with distance and it can be challenging, but if you can get a hold of a tutor, if you're struggling in any way, you want to do that. Here are our the assignments. I'm going to come. Yeah, no, I'm going to do that. I was going to say I'm going to come back to that, but I'm going to do that. Okay, so this is one of those things that I'm going to verbally tell you what I'm looking for. You're going to read it here, and you still may walk away and say, "Now, what about this or what about that?" If you have small questions, that's fine. I want to be very, very available to you. I'm going to tell you from the get-go, I will respond faster to my phone. My phone is right here. I will respond faster to my phone than I will to anything else. You may email me. I will respond relatively quickly with my email. But sometimes people are like, it's 10 o'clock. This thing's due at midnight tonight. I need a quick something. You email me, shoot, tomorrow, the next day, sometime during the day. It is too late, right? So text me. Here's what people say. I'm sure Professor Fairchild's busy. I don't want to bother him. Hey, I have great boundaries. If you text me and I'm busy, it's called ignore it and keep doing whatever I'm busy with, right? So don't try to protect me. I will protect myself. I'm a big boy and I will protect myself. If you call me and I'm busy, I won't answer the phone. It's real simple. You leave a message, I'll get back with you. But texting is even better than calling, generally speaking. When I see a number that I do not recognize, I rarely answer it. I get a million sales calls for stupid, your car insurance or your, whatever. I'm like, So texting is the absolute best way to get a hold of me. What's the best way to get a hold of me? Texting, fastest. That's my preferred communication. I will respond to email, but texting is the best. So after looking at these assignments and after listening to me and reading this, when you sit down to actually do it, I'll guarantee you're going to have questions. Okay, so 6 hours in a public setting. Here's a question people are going to ask. Do I have to go and sit at a mall somewhere for 6 hours? No, I'm not saying you have to do this all at once. What about different locations? I'm going to leave that up to you. I want you to think that through and ask yourself, is it better to have a variety of locations, to sit at a busy public park for an hour, to sit at one particular mall in one particular area for an hour, to sit at another mall for another hour in another particular place, to go to a park on the weekend while there's baseball games or soccer games or whatever. I personally, if it were me, I probably would mix it up. I don't think I would want to go sit on the same park bench for 6 hours, even if it was broken up, right? So you can break it up, do a little bit here, there, and yonder. Do keep very good records of this, because you're going to do a little spreadsheet and attach it to your paper saying on whatever day, May the 27th, I sat for 1 hour at such and such park in such and such city. I understand this is an online class, so you could be anywhere in the world, literally. And we obviously we celebrate that, right? We want that. That's a good thing. Okay, so now I am reminded of the story of the professor, the science professor, who brought a goldfish to a student and set it before them and said, "What do you see? Tell me what you see." And he made the student sit there for hours and on end at a time for days and days and days. And it started with, I see a fish, an orange goldfish. That's what I see, a fish. It was dead, by the way. Before it was over, the student could tell you how many individual scales were on the fish. The student could tell you the different diameters of the different colors of the eye, the black circles and all the circles and the colors of the eyes. The student could tell you how many gills it had, how many little teeth-looking things on the gill. I mean, so here's my point in that story. If you're listening and you're looking and you're thinking, this says sit and observe the general public. So your question is, well, what am I looking for? What am I observing? Oh my goodness, have fun with it. There's a bazillion things to observe, right? So count the scales on the fish. Tell me how many gills it has, right? You are looking for, wow, there's that couple and they both have a scowl on their face and they're not walking very close to each other at all. There's a little girl who's yanking at her daddy's coattails and her dad is on the phone and completely ignoring her. Ouch. Right. I mean, there's so many things to see. You'll see a sweet little old couple walking together hand in hand, hopefully. And you'll say, wow, look at the love that they have and show and share. So these are the kinds of things that you're looking for. I want you to be aware of what you like and what you don't like. And that's such a, like, okay, I like the color red. Why do you like the color red? I don't have any idea why I like the color red. I just do, right? What does that mean? Red and anger and violence and dominance and oh, okay, sure, whatever. I don't know, right? I like the color red, right? I like the color blue. I like a lot of different shades of blue. There's a lot of beautiful blues out there right now in clothing. I know I'm not like a Mr. Mega clothing horse, but so I want you to unbound your mind. I don't want you to be sitting there like I don't know what he wants. I don't know what he wants. No, don't do that to yourself. What he wants is for you to think. What he wants is for you to see. The movie Avatar. In the movie Avatar, what did she say to him many, many, many times? She said to him, "You are so blind. You're so blind. I'm asking you to not be blind. I'm asking you to go out there and I'm asking you to see. See what you can see, right? Just see. Just look, observe, watch. Well, I'm not very good at this observe thing. Well, get good at it, work at it. You are working on your master's in counseling. And if that's what you're saying, uh, I'm like, if you're not very good at observing, then you really might ought to rethink what you're doing. Because counselors observe. I will be sitting at a table with a friend who is a counselor, or I actually have a pastor friend that is in this category as well. It's from just extremely observant. And someone will say something that is mildly self-deprecating or that reveals an insecurity or some kind of a false belief that's running around inside their head. And instantly I'll look around the whole table and I'll look at my friend. My friend will look at me and we may barely grin, but don't even need to grin, right? And and what we're saying to each other is, wow, did you hear that? Yeah, I did. And did you look? And we look around the table and look back at each other as if to say, and no one else saw that at all. Like, wow, nobody saw it. So I hope you're that person that sees things, right? If not, work on it, practice it. The cool thing is, it's something you can learn, something you can grow in. So you're going to write a 4-page paper. I want you to, when we talk about your own bias, let me talk about that for a second as well. One of the things that this class does is it reaches into your soul and it pushes beyond, hopefully it pushes beyond your uh, intellectual defense mechanisms and your legalistic, man, if you're legalistic, oh Lord, reveal to our hearts where we are legalistic. Don't be legalistic. There is no place, there is no room in Christianity for a person who says things like, oh, I don't have any prejudices. Oh, I don't have any biases. I just love Jesus and love everybody equally. And I'm like, oh, so you're perfect then, pretty much is what you're saying. Like, there's no place for that in this class, and I don't believe there's a place for that in Christianity. That may seem strong to some of you, but work with me on that. If that just blows your mind, call me. Let's talk about it. Would love to talk to you about it. So understand that you have biases. There's going to be things that you're going to see that you don't like, and you don't know why you don't like it. That's okay. You don't have to be able to explain it, but there's probably a bias there if you don't like it. You may feel unsafe at times. Why do you feel unsafe? Explore that. Look at that. I don't think that person doesn't look safe to me. Why not? Right? Is it how they look? Is it how they're dressed? Is it the way they behave? Why do you not feel safe? It's okay to not feel safe. There's not, again, I'm not here to judge at all. There's certainly places where I could go where I'd be like, okay, I don't feel safe right now. That's kind of a normal part of our human experience. You are going to need to look at some outside resources that will be in line with this topic. I believe you'll have access to EBSCO, or sometimes it's called EBSCO Host. Contact the school if you don't have access, if you don't know how to get into that. You, and that's where you can look up professional journal articles. And I want them to be in the counseling world, not in the theology or Bible world, because this is you're not going to get much. First of all, you're not going to find much in the theology Bible world. Second, this is the topic itself. The research is going to be in the counseling literature. And I hope nobody just said, "Oh, he's against the Bible." Boy, if so, man, you are sadly mistaken. Sadly mistaken. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to yourself. Let's see, students. Let's see. You're going to log. I already said that. Okay. So this is, in my mind, simple, straightforward. Well, what's the 4-page paper supposed to be? Remember high school English, right? So you have an intro. You have an abstract where you're going to tell me what it is you're going to tell me, and how you're going to tell it to me, and then you're going to wrap up and tell me what you told me, in essence, and then you're going to go through your paper, and you have an introduction. You're going to have the body of the paper, which is the bulk of your findings, your arguments, your back and forth, right? You can talk about your feelings in this as well. That's fine. Remember, this is an observation. You're going to lay out your observations, and you're going to have some kind of a conclusion. So that's what I'm looking for. All right, diverse population analysis. Number 2. Now this is where you are going to pick a particular population. It will be a population, preferably that you would say that you are least comfortable with. Again, I'm looking for, there's just by your very existence in this class, there is required a level of honest soul searching and openness. For all of us, there is a culture, at least a culture, that we at least look at and scratch our heads about, and like I don't get it. I don't get them. Maybe as far as, I have a hard time liking them, period. Them, that's, them, who's them, well, whatever that may be. Racism and prejudice is really intense topic right now in our world, socio-politically, in universities, in the counseling world. The counseling world asks us to do something that is pretty much impossible, and that is live in a value-free zone. Act as though we have no values. It's not even possible. It's just, as we speak based on and from our values. There are cultures that you are more familiar with and cultures that you are less familiar with, probably basically just because on how you grew up and who you grew up around. If you're younger, most of you were raised with a pretty large variety of people in your sphere of influence. In fact, some of you would even be uncomfortable if it was all one race or socioeconomic level around you. You celebrate the diversity, you like diversity. I would say with even with those, there's still a culture that you might look at and kind of go, right? That you just don't like, I don't get them, or I don't understand them, or I don't understand their values, I don't understand the way they communicate, whatever it may be. So I get it. This is a stretch for some of you. It's going to be hard for some of you, but you need to pick a specific culture. So you may pick Asians. I would like for you to break that down to more specific if you pick Asians. So are we talking Are we talking India, north or south? Are we talking, because those are very different, by the way. Are we talking China? Are we talking Vietnamese? Are we talking Korea? Going to have to go with South Korea because North Korea is encapsulated little world there, which again, a lot going on in the media about. So you're going to pick a specific culture, and you are going to do some research on it. You are going to, I would hope, spend some, specifically spend some time with this group of people. So whatever that would look like. I mean, there are just areas where particular races hang out. In the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, there is a huge Indian from India population of people. You can go to church at an all-Indian church. You can go to restaurants that are Indian food and Indian people. You can go to areas where there's entertainment. Bollywood, I think, is a Indian kind of takeoff from Hollywood. So you can go see a movie, a Bollywood movie. There are a lot of things you can do, but also just simply research. And when I say research, I'm not necessarily talking about EBSCO and professional journal articles, although yes, that too. But I'm talking about just literally just Google and Google the culture and find out, learn as much as you can about it. Okay, so strengths and weaknesses. Strengths of. Let me back up a little bit. When I did this for my PhD, we had this class. I had to spend like a bazillion hours with this culture. This is master's level. It's not quite as intense. I don't remember how many hours it was, but my goodness, it was. I've lived with them. I felt like it was just crazy. I went to church with them. I went to lunch with groups of them. It was just crazy. And I chose I chose the Indian population. I chose India. One of the things that I learned was they were so affectionate and so warm towards each other. It was really amazing. I mean, wow, just light up and hey, how are you doing? Good to see you. I mean, just wow, it was beautiful. I was like, man, a lot of touch, a lot of just very, 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 very loving and very warm and very affectionate. Not necessarily to those outside of their population, unless you were with somebody, right? So I was treated very warmly because I was with somebody. But if I came up as a stranger, it would just be like to a restaurant or a store. Hey, what do you want? I mean, it'd be normal. I mean, they'd be fine, they'd be kind, but it wouldn't be like super warm. So that was a strength. There may be some culture that would say, well, we don't talk about issues. We just talk about stuff. Well, I put that as a weakness personally. You might culturally, that may be you. Like, wait a minute, there's good things about that. Okay, we'll talk about the good things about that. But could there potentially be some weaknesses? Flip side of that is there's cultures that talk about way too much, right? With like that. And that would be a potential weakness as well. So looking for kind of some extremes there. Okay. So and then integrating that into best practices for counseling, ethical counseling with that particular population, those kinds of things. Some populations are very anti-counseling, and that can be challenging as well. Okay, collaborate. There will be 3 collaborate sessions. They are not mandatory. Very much would like for you to be there when you can. Discussion boards are now there is a rhythm with the discussion boards. I want you to get it. All right, about Wednesday by midnight, 11:59 p.m. I want you to respond, do your initial post. So I will put up a thing that says here, blah blah blah, respond to this. Okay, you will respond to that. That's your initial post. Then your response post will be responding to some other students. So you'll just scroll through and you'll find one that you like, or it doesn't matter whether you know the student or not, and you'll read their post and you'll respond to it. I absolutely demand politeness and appropriateness and respect. You may think, oh my gosh, this is the craziest thing I ever read. It's stupid, it's horrible, it's disgusting, it's whatever. Okay, you don't ever say something like that. You may think it, that's fine. You can think that privately, personally, you can say that to a friend or to your spouse. But what you're going to say on the post is, interesting thoughts. Have you ever thought about, and you're going to put out another perspective, right? Here's another perspective on that. And you're going to put out your perspective, right? So you're not going to trash each other, get in a big fight or war. That will affect your grade drastically, quickly. That's a pet peeve of mine. If somebody's rude on a post, you will probably get a 0 on your entire discussion board for that week. Your first discussion board is up and ready to go, and I put a warning in there. If you just write off the top of your head, it will not go well for you. I promise. And you'll get a 40 or a 50 or I will not hold back. It will be a horrible grade. Now, it won't destroy you for the whole class because it will be a small enough percentage of your grade. But I want you to understand right from the beginning that I am very serious about these discussion boards, and that they are well thought through and based on research and reading, not based on your gut feelings and your thoughts. Which is what higher education is a large part about. All right. So here is this. You need to print this out and pin it on your wall. So whatever page number, whatever page this is, 4 and 5, you need to print out page 4 and 5 and pin it on your wall, or lay it out on your desk where you work, where you do your homework. You need to keep this available. You need to look at this all the time. All right, so here's your discussion boards. There's one every week, and you've got your rhythm. You know, by Wednesday night midnight, I got to have my first post up. You know, by Saturday night midnight, I got to have responded to at least one other student. And if I interject, or if another student asks you a question, you need to respond to that too. So I don't want you to leave someone unanswered, right? So you may respond to 5 people. If 5 people ask you a question or a comment on you, you need to respond. It doesn't have to be, once you get to the second, third, and fourth responses to people, it doesn't have to be mega heavy duty, but you need to respond. I mean, better than thanks for the thought or whatever, but you need to respond to people. This is a 7-week class, and that's tough and challenging. This is the whole. This is a 15-week course crammed into 7 weeks, in essence. I don't know if y'all thought of it that way or if you understand that, but that's what you signed up for, whether you know it or not. So there is a lot of reading each week, and you'll see that here. Then you have your due dates on the here we go. Diversity field project is due. And when I don't think I laid this out, but in the week, if there's an assignment that it just says due, it's due at 11:59 p.m. Sunday night. The end of the week, I'm considering Sunday night. I'd rather you not work on the Sabbath, but I'm giving your big boys and girls, you can turn it in if you want to honor the Sabbath. You can turn it in on Saturday night. I could put that deadline, but I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to let y'all choose what you want to do there. And again, I'm not legalistic, but I do very little on Sunday. I mean, we go to church, we sleep, we eat, we relax, we sit around the house. We do very little. Sometimes I have to do something. Sometimes we have to, get something done, or there's work to be, or whatever. But there's the digging your ox out of the ditch for sure. But for the most part, I work very hard to not do much on Sunday. I certainly won't respond to you. I mean, if you text me, I might respond to text, but I'm not gonna check my email on Sunday. Let's see. Then your diverse population analysis is due the end of this week. So there's 2 weeks in between those. You need that's a lot. Those are both long projects. You need to be working on those, and then you'll have a final exam, and you will have a discussion board your last week as well. Okay, so that most of the rest of this is policies and procedures in terms of the policies of the school. Okay, let me go quickly to our Blackboard. This is what it looks like when you open it up. I will have I'm supposed to have an announcement every week. Woo! I didn't do an announcement this week. I'll put an announcement up real quick here in a minute. Here are the things that you're obviously my grades. You're going to want to look at your grades eventually. Information is going to be where you're going to find your syllabus. So you've got course description, course overview, meet your professor. That's a little blurb on me, a little kind of mini bio. It's not anything super big. And here's your syllabus. And then you need to complete your syllabus acknowledgement form. Here is how to complete your how to complete it. And here it is. So just click on this right here. And you should be able to do that. So that's information. That's something you need to get into right away at the beginning of this week. And then your lessons is your other big place you're going to go, and your discussions. So I'm going to do discussions real quick first. Your discussions look like this. You are going to, here is your first discussion. You're just going to click here, right? And it's going to go here to create a thread. So there's nothing here because nobody's done anything yet. You're going to hit create thread, and you're going to write your name. And just DB1 is fine with me. Discussion board number 1 is fine with me. This does not need to be long. It's just nice to know, DB1, Brad Fairchild, or Brad Fairchild DB1. I don't really care. I just want to be able to identify, in essence. So that's discussion board. Oh, and then there will be at the bottom here, once people have put up a discussion, you hover down here to the bottom left, and it will say reply. And you hit reply, and that's how you respond to each other, in case you don't know that. All right, back to lessons. So and listen, you're not going to have it's not going to be open to you until the week of, right? So I don't open. This is the first time I've taught this class at this university. I've taught this class before. Loved this class. Love teaching this class. Excuse me, but I've not taught it at this university. I taught it 8 years at. I don't think I told you this earlier. I taught at SAGU, Southwestern Assemblies of God University, for about 8 years. Okay, so here's week 1. You're going to click on here, and it will take you into all of the information you'll need for week 1, including assignments to be turned in, which there are no assignments to turn in other than discussion board, but that's not turned in, so to speak. You just do it on the discussion board. All of your assignments are going to be in a Word.doc or Word.docx. If you're a Mac person, you poor soul, I don't know what's wrong with you, but that's okay. I guess we can love you. See, there's some cultural bias there. Did that on purpose. If you're a Mac person, if you don't know how to switch it over, if you don't know how to transform that document into a Word document, you need to figure it out, because I will not dink with it. I will not sit here and try to make my computer open your document. It takes forever, and a lot of times I'll spend 5 or 10 minutes on it, and I still can't open it. And so that is on the student and not on me. It is stated in the syllabus. So you're going to do it on a Word document, and you're going to attach it into the assignment. You're not going to do it in the assignment box either, and you're not going to do it in some other format. Okay, so I think and I hope this is takes care of things for you. There will be an announcement at the beginning of each week. It's not going to be anything new. I mean, generally speaking, it's maybe a reminder of what to do this week, something like that. And that should show up when you first, your homepage when you first come in, which is Let me know to get back to the home page. That's hilarious. Okay, whatever. Y'all get the idea. Sorry about that. Wow. There it is. There we go. Okay. So there'll be an announcement here at the beginning. All right. All right. I want to talk a little bit about just kind of the class in general, and I want to. Yeah. Okay. I think that's just me. I hope what I'm looking for anyway. All right. So I'm gonna kind of get into a couple of concepts. First of all, you don't know me and I don't know you at all. And if there is a level of sensitivity to this course. It's interesting when you're trying to be vulnerable and real and open and honest. You also may say some things that are offensive to other people. So if you are offended, you have a choice as an adult. I expect you to act as an adult and make a wise choice. One choice would be to become angry and bitter, upset with me, go run to my superiors and complain. You certainly have the right to do that, of course. But if you're not familiar with hierarchy, the appropriate in God's eyes, in the world's eyes, who cares about the world? We're Christians, right? That's not what I mean. In terms of good business practices, right, which we as Christians abide by because they're most of them are founded on biblical principles. There is a hierarchical process, right? So if you have a problem with somebody, you talk to them first. If you can't work it out with them, then you go to the person above them. If you can't work it out with them, you can appeal to that person's authority, right? So you first do what? Come to me. If that doesn't work, you go to my boss. If that doesn't work, you go to my boss's boss and my boss's boss's boss, right? So I just about guarantee you, if you come to me, we can work it out because I'm a pretty nice guy. I'm serious about some things and there's things that are important to me, but I've got a huge fun factor and I'm pretty laid back and I'm very easygoing and I'm very relational. I very much want a relationship with you. If you listen carefully for me to say something that's offensive to another culture, you will probably find it. I am going to ask you, and I'm going to ask us as we go into the discussion board and interact with one another. I'm going to ask you to believe the best in one another. That reminds me of a scripture on love, right? Believe the best in one another. In other words, you could hear something that like, ooh, that sounded kind of offensive. Okay, so what is Professor Fairchild's heart? Is Professor Fairchild's heart, he hates black people and he said that because he wanted to hurt black people. Really? Is that my heart, do you think? Or there may be something about the black culture that he doesn't understand. Yeah, probably. And he said something that's offensive and probably had no idea that it was offensive. So what an incredible opportunity to tell Professor Fairchild, hey, that's offensive to black people when you say such and such. Then I will tuck that away and say, thank you so much for that because I really don't want to offend black people or any other people, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, so there are going to be some racially and culturally sensitive things talked about in this class. I prefer, to be honest with you, I prefer this class be face-to-face. That way I can read your face. If I say something that you're like, oh, I can't believe you just said that, then I can pick up on that and go, okay, let's talk this out, right? I don't have that luxury, so I'm going to ask you, plead with you to believe the best in me, that you will choose to give me the benefit of the doubt so that I can be bold and courageous and free to say the things that we need to say. And yes, there may be some things stirred up in you that are painful. I get that. There may be some things stirred up in me that are painful. That's not the end of the world, right? There's pain that's beneficial. You ever worked out before? You've ever worked out at all? Any kind of workout? And walked away with a little bit of pain? Is that pain damaging or beneficial? There's an awful lot of pain that can just be pain. Nothing's damaged, nothing's broken, there's no torn muscles, well, microscopically torn, but there's no snapped tendons, there's no ripped muscles in half, right? It's just painful. Obviously, there is a pain that is damaging, that represents damage, but remember that there is a pain that represents strength building and growth. And as mature adults, I'm hoping y'all will be able to go there with me. I want to talk about a couple of issues out of the textbook. I'm not going to super spoon feed you. You guys are adults, you're going to read, but I am going to go over some things. So this chapter 1, I've got the textbook here. Let me show you this real quick. This is what I'm teaching out of it. If you have a different edition, I think there's a newer edition than this. This is the 6th edition. Yep. And there is a 7th, I think. It's so funny when you're in front of a camera, it's backwards. It feels like I should be moving that way to get it to the middle, but okay, yeah, I got that, right? So hopefully you have that book. If you don't have that book, you have the 7th edition, that's fine. But if you haven't gotten it yet, Amazon, overnight, fast, get it quick. You need it. Okay. Multicultural journey to cultural competence. Now, this cultural competence is an interesting concept. We are talking about being competent in dealing with other cultures. That means you have some knowledge of that other culture, but what it means more is that you have a good knowledge of your own culture and your own values. The first discussion board really touches on that. Now, that may not make sense to a lot of you yet. I hope it will eventually, right? But if I don't know myself and I don't understand all the nuances of my culture and my biases and the things I like and don't like about people and relationship and things, and right, then I can't understand you. There was an incident that happened. My girls were track and cross country runners, and there was an incident that happened with a friend of ours. A kid fell in a race, and he's a top runner, and did very poorly in that race. Jumped up and by the time he jumped up and kept running, he was still like in 6th place. I mean, he had rolled and jumped up and hit his feet running, and I'm thinking, hey, he's still in 6th place. He's good. He's got this. He ended up either dead last or second to dead last. It was an important race. Really heartbreaking, really pretty big deal, really sad, crushed this kid. I mean, just you could see his spirit was just, we said something to the kid's dad, who's a friend of ours, and he said, well, we don't need to talk about it. We don't need to make a bigger deal out of it than it is. Translation is, we don't talk about stuff. And I know this family, and they don't talk about stuff. I don't like that at all. I think that's very unhealthy. That's judgmental. No. Slow down. There's a judgmental attitude, right, which says, okay, because I don't like that and I think you're wrong, screw you, and I don't want to have anything to do with you, and I'm better than you. That's a judgmental attitude, right? My attitude is I recognize and see things that I believe to be unhealthy, but I still love you. In fact, my hope and my prayer is that I will be able to minister to this family in such a way that will help them be able to be more open and honest and real with one another. Right? So that's where my mind goes when I see something that's unhealthy as a counselor. Not, oh my gosh, that's unhealthy. Get away from me. Stay away from me. You're a horrible person. I don't want anything to do with you. You're going to hell. Blah, blah, blah. No. Good grief, no. No. None of that. Not at all. Now, I'm human. Have I ever had a judgmental attitude in my life? Of course I have. And I hate that. But can I be judgmental? Sure I can. Have I ever been? Yes. Will I be again? Yes. But so that is an example of what I'm talking about in terms of that is the culture of that family. If there's a problem, if there's an issue, if there's some kind of a thing, we just don't talk about it. Well, I believe that to be very unhealthy. I believe there's an awful lot of biblical and research, both secular and Christian research that would support me in that, that would say, yeah, that's unhealthy. Like, you need to talk stuff out. You need to talk about stuff, right? So when it comes to cultural competence, the fact that I can be competent with them in that I understand what I believe about that, and I can help them then more and love them and be more effective, if you will. Okay. We're going to, there's a section on your personal journey as a white person, your personal journey as a racial and ethnic minority, and your personal journey as a person of color. And these are all very different. I have a friend who is an African, not an African American, in that I hope we can differentiate this pretty easily, right? So there are Black people, African Americans, that are their ancestors have been in America for years, maybe a couple of hundred years, right? So a long time. There are African Africans who, sure, they're Americans, but they have an African accent and they're very African. Those two groups, by the way, don't necessarily automatically get along very well, and they are very different culturally. And so one of these, I have a friend who is African and a Christian counselor. I've known him for 30 years, something like that. And I've been able to talk openly and honestly with him about counseling and working with people. As historically, for a long time, had very poor success in keeping African American clients. Like, I scaring them off, like, oh, sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. Obviously, there's probably something culturally that I don't get that I'm doing that's offending them, or that's just not working for them. So I've worked on that, and as an older counselor, I got to the point where I had much more success keeping African American clients. Okay. So those are some of the kinds of things that we're going to look at. There is cultural universality and cultural relativism. We're going to talk about concepts that have to do with how we are similar. Everybody needs to be loved. Everybody wants to be a part. Everybody needs a sense of belonging. Everybody has a mom. Everybody has a dad. If not, some of you are like, well, I've never met my dad. Well, you have a dad. That in and of itself can be a painful thing, I get. So there's things that we have in common, right? We work, we love, we play, we laugh, we fight, we get angry, we have similar emotions, right? There's all kinds of things that we're same. And some people want to just say, yeah, see, look, we're all the same. We're all the same. Yeah. Well, we're not all the same. Why can't we acknowledge that we're not all the same and celebrate our differences? So we're going to look at some of those issues. There are emotional consequences of race. There are hot buttons. I touched on this earlier about being able to, hot buttons is a word out of the textbook. I like that. That I may say something that is offensive. I may have already said something that's offensive. And again, I'm just asking you to hear my heart and believe that that's not my desire. Inclusive and exclusive nature of multiculturalism. There are aspects that there are other cultures that it is easy for you to include or be inclusive with, and there are other cultures that is not easy for you to be inclusive with. And we're going to look at that. The textbook looks at that in detail. We're looking at identity, cultural identity. What I've had white students say to me, well, I don't have a culture, really. I'm just a regular American. Like, yeah, okay, you need to go back and study what does it mean to have culture, because, yeah, you do. You have specific things within your culture, within your family, right? So what is your humor like? Where do you hang out as a family? Do you talk? Do you not talk? Do you get your dinner and just go like everybody goes to their own room? So you sit in front of the TV, do you sit at the table and talk? That's cultural. We have this really weird kind of almost, it's real blatant humor. Blatant, that's not the word I'm looking for. Um, it's almost dark, but not really. Like, for example, my dad lives with me and he's 89 years old. And so he's getting rough. I mean, he is old, let me tell you. And he's got Alzheimer's and he's just way out there. So we joke in front, like dad will, come out of his room and somebody will say, "Oh, look, Gramps is still alive," and he'll laugh and say, "Yeah, barely," or "Yep, I'm still kicking," and everybody will laugh. Or as we're joking about his dad, like, "Oh, I thought you were dead, Dad. I was in there taking a nap. I thought you'd already died." And people are just like, "That's horrible." Okay, I get that. That's fine. I know it can be a little rough. It is comedy, I believe, is um, in part God's gift to deal with tragedy and difficult situations. And there's a lot of sadness, a lot of pain in dealing with watching your father die before your very eyes. And that's literally what I'm doing right now. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm just telling you it's difficult and it's painful. And are there tears at times? Yes. And is there anger and frustration and sadness at times? Yes. And do we talk about that as a family? Yes, we do, openly, even with my children and with my wife. All of us do. Do we joke about it sometimes? Yeah, we do. And it helps. It helps us a lot. Now, some people are like, "Oh, it's just disrespectful and horrible and blah, 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 blah." I know. Okay, well, nobody in the family is offended and we're all good and it's all just behind closed doors and it's with our family. It's our family culture and we all love it, right? There's a bondedness and a connectedness. Guarantee you, some of you are thinking, "Man, that's just horrible." Or, "I just don't understand that." Okay, all right, that's cool. Good, that's fine, right? There's an opportunity for you to look at for someone else to display something about their personal family cultural to you, and you be able to decide what you're going to do with that. It's okay for you to think it's terrible. It's okay for you to dislike it. It's not okay for you to mistreat me because of it, right? I still expect you to, as a Christian, to treat me with love and respect, even though you don't understand me or agree with something that I do, right? You with me? Yeah, so those are examples. Minority group counselors working with majority and minority groups. So if you're thinking about going to counseling, what do you picture? Do you picture a male or a female? Do you picture a white person, a black person, a Hispanic person, an Asian person? What do you picture? Indian person? Could be any of the above, right? Does it matter to you? So think about that. And then there's that reversed as well. So there's a million kind of mixes there with that. So that's interesting. All right, so we're going to look at some of the politics dealing with counseling. Chapter 4 gets into that, and social justice and counseling. Social justice is an interesting term to me. There is a pretty extreme politically leftist definition that goes with social justice that I don't agree with, that I believe is problematic. I don't want to get into a whole lot right here. Do all people need to be treated with love and respect? Yes. Did Jesus treat all people with love and respect? Yes. Do you sit with the woman at the well, with the whole story of the woman at the well? First of all, she was a woman, and culturally, a man didn't talk to a woman. And second of all, she was a Samaritan. You definitely didn't talk to Samaritans. So culturally, he loved people no matter where they were at. Did he demand that she have all of the same finances available to her as people around her? No. He was concerned about her spirit and her soul and her drinking the true water, living water, than he was about where she was at socioeconomically. So there's some strangeness with that term. So if you say in today's world, well, I don't really like the whole social justice concept, you're a bigot and you're racist. The world is going to look at you and say, well, then you think we should mistreat people. No, I don't. I think there are poor people and rich people. I think they should coexist peacefully together. I think there always will be rich and there always will be poor, the words of Jesus, and that it's not the end of the world one way or the other. And I'm more concerned about do they feel loved? I'm more concerned about do they know Christ than I am how much money is in their bank account. Does that make sense? I hope. All right. Systemic oppression, or their systems, organizations, cultures, countries, governments that systemically oppress people. Yes, there are. Are there trust issues and credibility issues? Yes, definitely. There are historical oppressions, current oppressions. I don't know. I'm not studying this a lot, but I feel like that the slavery in America with the African American population, I think that still affects us today. I think that's a historical oppression that affects us today in numerous ways. Credibility and attractiveness. Now think about that. That's a very interesting. What makes someone credible in your mind? What makes someone attractive in your mind? Right. So someone that is attractive to me may not be attractive to you, and vice versa. You may look at somebody and say, man, that is a sharp looking person. And I may look at them and go, not really seeing it. Sorry. Right. Well, it's okay. But just, are we aware of that? And then do we place value on that person based on how attractive that we think they are? Microaggressions we'll talk about. And then these are microaggressions would be, let's see, I heard a story of a man was in a store. He was a male. He was in a cloth buying, like where you would buy like sewing, where you would buy cloth to sew. And he's thinking, dude, do I really look like a person who's going to come here a lot? I mean, it was like an odd something he needed to come get, he went to get it. White guy, middle-aged white guy. There were 2 or 3 Hispanic women in there. It had been in there for a while and were working. He just walked in, owner of the store or the worker at the store. And he said it was almost like he could feel that these ladies needed help, right? The owner of the store or the worker ignored them and looked at him and said, may I help you, sir? And he's like, well, what the heck? What about them? They were here before I was. And they're going to be your customers probably way more than I am. Maybe that's a microaggression thinking on my part, but it's true. It's a fact, right? I'm not going to go into a Joann's fabric very many times. I've been in with my wife a couple of times, but I could see building something or working on something and needing a piece of felt or some kind of cloth or something, maybe, but not very often, right? So that is an example of a microaggression. So that was a microaggression for the store clerk to look at the white male, middle-aged white male, and say, may I help you, sir, and ignore the ladies that needed help. Then we look in chapter 7 at barriers to multicultural counseling. What is the family's perspective on counseling? There are many cultures who struggle with the concept of counseling. Counseling is a very white European and American concept, generally speaking, and there are a lot of other cultures that don't see a lot of value in it and or would absolutely say, we're not doing it, period. It's not happening, which that's their right. That's fine. But the flip side of that is what you end up with is for example, you might have a school situation where a kid is maybe even court appointed to go to counseling, and the family is adamantly against counseling culturally. So and you're the counselor. Ha ha ha. You get to deal with this family that's like, what are you telling my kid? And we're not doing this, and I don't want to do this, and I'm not thrilled about this, and it can be very, very challenging at times. Okay, so that is our lecture for the day, so to speak, and our introduction. And I am super excited about this class, and I hope you guys enjoy it. God bless, and I will see you in Collaborate class and or on the next video lecture. Thank you and God bless. Bye-bye.